Hey, what is up, YouTube? Angry Eradicate here, joined with SlowBro the First. Why don't you say hello to everybody here?
Hi.
He's here again. We have another episode of the Pokey Podcast. Glad you joined us today. We'll be talking about our top 3 favorite regions in the episode below. If you check the description down below, we have the previous episode with the bottom 4 gens we went over. That was a really good episode. Had a lot of critical analysis of a lot of previous gens. So the gens we have left today are Gen 3, 4, and 6. Some surprise to you probably if you're a Gen 1er. If you are, just make sure you don't rage on us too hard before you hear our explanation. If you want to argue it, go ahead, obviously. But today, like always, we'll be going over more, not nostalgia. We'll be going over stuff like the Pokemon in the region's layout, our like designs and whatnot, how it did competitively wise, how did it improve upon the previous generations. That's a very important part as well. Up first, we have Generation 3. Give us an explanation of why we have it this high up.
All right, well, first of all, I just gotta say, I played Gen 3 first, and then I went in order. Like, I played Gen 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and 7. So, just to let you know. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for Eradicate.
Yes, I believe I barely played I didn't finish Gen 3 first. I finished Gen 4 first. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I finished Gen 3, then kept going. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if this is going to really matter, but I just found it annoying that you couldn't really connect very easily, like trading.
Mm-hmm. One of its downfalls was obviously the connections back then, yeah.
It's only because of the GBA, you can't trade, but I don't know. I did find it annoying as well, though, the restrictions on, even if you did have the link cable, you would have to finish Fire and Leaf Green before trading with any other regions. You couldn't get any National Dex Pokemon before finishing the whole game, and by whole game, I mean doing the island quests.
Mm-hmm. What would you say? You wouldn't say that's a major complaint though, right? It's not like the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, but I think it's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm. Any benefits or good parts of the region, or other negative effects, or other negative ideas?
Might as well get all the negative out first.
Okay.
They didn't know it was just the way they did it, but I think it was annoying how they didn't have the physical special split. It made stuff like Gyarados, Dragonite, Salamence, pretty much most Pokemon weaker.
Yeah, it's something that it really benefited a lot of Pokemon. It kind of brought down everything. It kind of made a lot of things that could have been viable, not viable. Obviously, sure, Gyarados was still decently strong, but the idea, it kind of limited a lot of competitive play from becoming what it is now, simply because there wasn't really that much of a meta besides a few Pokemon. Having the physical special split made it so stuff like, obviously, Alakazam was bound to be broken in Gen 1 with the whole bug thing, but it kind of limits how many strong things are going to be without this physical special split. But any other negatives? Lack of in-game content.
Ruby Sapphire obviously didn't have much, but even then they had the Battle Tower thing.
A lot of people like that in Emerald too. They really improved upon that.
Yeah, they had many facilities in Emerald.
People are really hoping that comes back. That's one of the major complaints about
the reason
Gen
they didn't bring it back apparently is because they said that it would be too hard and people would rage over it.
A lot of people did rage over it. Look at Worcester, his speed runs of Pokemon Emerald and whatnot. He gets very mad at the Battle Tower. And there's a lot of hacks. We've faced that ourselves. I'm sure many of you have as well. But that's what makes it fun. And I think it'll take up a lot of space. Some of those other games like Gen 6 and 7, we'll get to them. We'll get to Gen 6 in a little bit, but they already have a lot of stuff in them. So, it'd be hard to fit more in. That being said, people really want the Battle Factory to be back. So that's definitely a big plus that just Emerald had the Battle Factory. Any other benefits? The Pokemon, you want to go over some of them?
Yeah, I'm not really that big of a fan of the Gen 3 Pokemon. They usually seem to be hit or miss. Oh yeah, the starters.
I think they're arguably the best besides maybe...
Overall, yeah, they think they are.
That or Gen 4 in my opinion.
I'm saying in terms of everybody together, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Swampert. I said that last video. I think Sceptile was pretty cool.
Oh, definitely. Obviously the anime improves his opinion with Ashes, but even just in game, I really liked it a lot.
It was probably the first,
Trico wasn't great, in my opinion, but Grovyle, in particular, with the whole Mystery Dungeon as well, which doesn't really count for this, but Grovyle and Sceptile were amazing.
Well, I'm not even taking the, any, anime things, yeah. Or, I'm just saying, this is the first time they made, an agile or, physically fit-looking grass type. Venusaur was bulky. Megasganium was, 4-legged and,
It's the first bipedal one as well, yeah. And I like the whole... Sceptile was a pretty cool design and whatnot. I like the whole... His tail looked like a tree. That was pretty cool.
I don't know about Blaziken, to be honest. It's kind of hard.
Mixed opinions. Obviously, it ended up becoming pretty broken eventually with its hidden ability. That doesn't really count because it's a later gen. However, Firefighting's the first one, so you can't really get mad at this one. You can get mad at the later ones, I guess. But Firefighting was pretty unique. at the time, and that combination makes it a very good threat. And it was still like kind of a challenging starter in the fact that the Rock Gym was the first one. You could get a fighting type move to kind of contradict.
Only
that
thing is, it always seemed like there were a lot of grass trainers.
So that does help you a little bit there, but in the beginning, obviously the forests are usually like bug and grass. That helps as well. So it makes it so like usually fire is the challenging type, but now
you can pick up a Wingull and you probably could beat the Rock Gym.
Oh, probably. But
I used the Torchic last run. I didn't even use it in the Rock Gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not the end of the world to just use like Wingull or something like that. Or like I know in Gen 1 you can pick up a Mankey and whatnot. Other than that, though, a lot of the Pokemon I like not Wingull, Pelipper. Pelipper is pretty cool. Wingull is too. They introduced the Dustox and Beautifly. I thought those was decent. It was kind of like a nice. It was surprising they didn't have anything like that before. I guess they did have
Beedrill and them.
But it was nice that they did it again. They're different designed enough, in my opinion, that they shouldn't be labeled as the same. They have Ludicolo, super cool. Salamence, I liked him a lot. Torkoal. Yeah, I like those a lot.
I wish Torkoal was better.
I wish Torkoal was better. His Sun ability is a start. But next generation, I want to see like plus 40 special defense.
No, what I want to see is like
reliable recovery. I could see that too. Mark Hargo is Gen 2. I always think that he's Gen 3, but he's not.
For me, it's always Skarmory that I think is Gen 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see him in game, don't you?
Yeah, you see him a lot, and like there was Snow Route.
The teams is also a very big plus for Gen 3.
Oh yeah, it was finally unique because even the first two gens were just Team Rocket, so you've already seen them like plenty of times.
And even different than most of the other games, it's usually hey, we're gonna capture legendary Pokemon, take over the world. These guys, it was more environmental based. Obviously, they still wanted to kind of take over the world.
Yeah, but what they really wanted to do was Team Magma put an emphasis on how they wanted to get the Groudon's power, so that like the drought would like dry out the ocean so that people get to live on land, and the opposite for the water. He wanted more rain. It would like make it so that some areas would be covered with water, but they would be better suited for like
fishermen and stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes some land more fertile. So it wasn't just, hey, we're going to take over the world. It was like the one unique story, which I really liked a lot. It's more unique than Gen 5, in my opinion. That's a very, very controversial statement if you look at most people's comments.
Yeah, but if you actually look at an open mind, then you're going to realize that Gen 5's story was not that great.
The Legendaries is my favorites too. Groudon and Kyogre. I like the whole land versus the ocean, and then Rayquaza is like the Lord of them all. I like that a lot, being in the sky. I like that design a lot. Obviously, he was only in one of the games, being Emerald, but
no, he was in Ruby Sapphire as well.
Rayquaza was really.
You could catch him in the end.
Oh, you could still go up to the sky. It was the same.
Yeah, you could still catch Rayquaza.
Can you catch Groudon and Kyogre in?
And Emerald, you can catch both of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And none of them are obviously in Fire. Because it went Ruby Sapphire, then it went Fire Red Leaf Green, then it went to Emerald. Right?
Yeah, it's the only time that really happened.
Well, look at Diamond and Pearl. They went.
Yeah, they just went Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, then Heartgold Soulsilver.
Platinum, then Heartgold Soulsilver. Heartgold Soulsilver was a huge surprise. We'll get to that a bit more later. I keep saying that, but we will. I promise you, we'll get to this stuff in a little bit. Other than that, for Gen 3, that's all I really have for it. Overall, a really solid generation. Didn't fix all the things, so like the physical special split. Kind of kept similar graphics there. I actually did get color, though.
Oh, yeah,
right?
One thing I could add.
They give color, so you gotta give them that.
Yeah, and one thing I can add, though, is that it seemed to be a really solid generation, both like the Pomegary Berry glitch. You're able to make like any Pokemon. You can go cycle through all 65,536 like slots of data because it's a 16-bit game, and like you're able to do a lot of stuff like making bad eggs and stuff.
Yeah, not that they would ever happen to you if you're not trying to do it, but
yeah, but you can make it happen.
Which, I mean, you look at some glitches that you can't control, like the whole Psychic not being, or Bug not being good against Psychic. Those are things that I'd be complaining about. Things like this that can kind of help you in the game.
To me, glitches are sometimes like half the fun of the game.
We'll get to Diamond and Pearl. We'll talk about those glitches. Those are definitely a plus. But other than that, anything else for Gen 3?
I don't think so.
All right, we're about 10 minutes. Oh, actually, only 9 minutes, and I'm looking at the time now. Up next, we have kind of a tie between the last two. We're actually kind of split on this one a little bit, but we have them pretty much rated the same, which may be kind of a cop-out answer for some of you, but we'll go over Gen 4 first.
Yeah, no, look, even though we don't agree on it, I think both of us still like the generation. It's just that the other ones.
These are both our top two, and I think for both of us they're like pretty close, like he just said. Yeah. But for Gen 4, my favorite one. Oh my god, I get excited just thinking about this generation. The starters, we'll go over them first. In my opinion, they're a little bit stronger than Gen 3s, and they end up being the best. In my opinion, Turtwig's line super solid with Torterra.
Yeah, it has like a walking ecosystem.
Yeah, it was a continental Pokemon. It would talk about how they're like. I always imagine like how it would say there'd be birds in his like starlies and whatnot in his tree, which I thought was super cool. Like some more of a lore based.
I remember there was like on the picture it showed Ash's Swallow was on his Torterra.
You mean his Staraptor?
No, it was his Swallow that was on it.
Swallow was? Oh, in the one picture back at the farm, right?
Yeah, it just took a picture of all of his Pokemon.
They had it in the game though. In the show, they would have, not that this matters, but Starly would always sit on Turtwig because they based it off the I thought it was the coolest thing ever, that he would like sit on his little leaf thing on top, and he would do the same thing as a Grovyle, a Grotle, and a Staraptor. He would sit on his bush and sit in there. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Otherwise though, Empoleon, pretty cool starter too. Water Steel is a super awesome typing, and Infernape, a lot of people's favorite. It's again fire fighting, which kind of like not unique from the past one, but it's really fast and still strong in both physical and special.
And it's even more improved upon like the battle against Paul, like how he defeats 3 of his Pokemon.
Oh, that's a little bit of the anime, not so much the gen.
I know that, but he's still really cool in it.
Yeah, they made him super awesome in that. Other than that, the region itself, my favorite, all the different towns. It was like the coldest region and whatnot, with the whole like snowed city and whatnot. You did the whole route traveling there. Just the whole story felt more immersive. It's probably because my first major playthrough of a game, but like the whole traveling to the snow city, I thought that was like really cool. Sunny Shore was like, oh, it's like the beach trip and whatnot. I thought it was like really cool. They really diversified the towns a lot more than usual in that game. And the Mount Cornet was like dividing the into like 2 different regions in my opinion.
And they had like the west and east Shalosses.
Yeah, to kind of like further that. They had a really good forest and Eterna Forest, the whole double battles. The double battles in like a lot of areas, how you would meet up with that one trainer. You meet up with I think her name's Cheryl, and then I don't remember the other one's name. So you met with the guy who had a Riolu or Lucario. You met up with a girl who had an Alakazam or a Kadabra, and you met up with someone else who had like an Arcanine. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, you got to travel with someone else. It wasn't just you traveling by yourself. The Pokemon in general design, I really like them a lot. You know that, though. You know that I like Garchomp, Luxray, Gastrodon, Abomasnow, Mamoswine. They added a lot of other Pokemon from like other previous families. If you want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, I'm really glad about how they introduced the Tangrowth, because I almost forgot to mention this. Yeah, it's an uncreative Pokemon. It's a bunch of vines with a face, but it's still one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool. It's not like super boy. It's not like just a literal bush. Like it's
like
standing.
It still
has
kind of looks like a rogue.
Side. Yeah, it looks like a rogue, like a bandit. I like that a lot about it. They added a lot of other ones. They added the baby forms, which aren't that important, but it adds a little bit more like depth to the Pokemon itself, which is what I said before. It has I think it has not the most story, but it has the most you can get immersed into the story easily, which I really like about the region. The rival I thought was pretty great. He was like a maniac. He wasn't the usual snobby jerk to you or an actual kind of like a villain in Gen 2 or Heartgold Soulsilver. It's diverse, in Pokemon Platinum and whatnot. It was like he was a goofball, and Heartgold Soulsilver was the usual kind of like a villain or thief. We can talk about Heartgold Soulsilver, which I think is your favorite of all time. You played over 700 hours in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good while ago. But yeah, I really liked the amount of story that they put into it, and like just things to do in general. Like I spent a lot of time on the battle tower at the end of it, but I liked how they had all of the legendaries, like having Groudon.
In Heartgold Soulsilver, they had the Latios and Latias too, right?
Yeah, like they had all the roaming legendaries.
That's a really important thing too. For you can actually catch a lot more, but you can actually almost catch them all.
Platinum had the 3 birds roaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually had quite a few things roaming there. They introduced the Union Room and whatnot in Gen 4 too, which I thought was really nice. I mean, it's not as big as like it is now with the whole back when they had Gen 6, they had the whole finding people through the PSS system, but it was a start, and that was the big jump from Gen 3. You could only really meet with people with the wires and whatnot and the wireless adapters. Now you can just all go into a Union Room and have a bunch of people in there. And sure, it probably didn't happen too much, but when the game first came out, people used to hang out in large groups and they could do stuff like that. The Battle Tower added the whole thing where you could battle other people's teams, which was pretty nice. And like in Heartgold Soulsilver, they had the whole, I like the Poke Park or whatever, the one thing where you can go and do the medals for the events.
Oh yeah, the Pokeathon.
Pokeathon, yeah, I like that a lot. Sure, it wasn't like that amazing, but I thought it was pretty cool.
They just had a lot of little things that you could do. You know what I mean?
And then they have a lot of different kind of modes you could do at the Battle Tower.
You could do single battles, double. You could do it with another NPC. You could do it with a real person or on the Wi-Fi.
Couldn't you do like the factories and stuff in that game too? Am I thinking this wrong?
Not in Diamond Pearl, but in Platinum.
I'm saying in Heartgold Soulsilver, right?
In Platinum, Heartgold, Soulsilver, you're able to do the other stuff.
Platinum has it too?
Yeah.
I don't remember them having all that, but I guess maybe I could be wrong.
I don't know if it has everything that Emerald has, but it had a lot of.
I know Heartgold Soulsilver does for sure. I remember you doing.
No, Platinum has the same exact.
Oh really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of it wrong. My bad.
I think you probably didn't play Platinum.
I know our main playthroughs of like the Battle Tower was I was on Diamond and you were on Heartgold, or Soulsilver, I mean. But that was our usual. We used to do the Battle Tower all the time. We lost the Palmer so many times. Actually, we usually just used to lose to like random people. Like this is a little off topic, but we used to run Sceptile and Gengar and my Empoleon, and I think you brought, I forget, but he had on a Sceptile he had Safeguard because we're like not even teens yet. We're like below 15.
Yeah, but do remember though that like every single Pokemon in the whole tower has Thunder Wave, and as soon as you get hit by it, you're done for. So.
Yeah, so he goes for the Safeguard, and a Rampardos from a little kid ends up like beating us because he goes for Rock Slide and gets like a crit or something like that, and we ended up losing because I didn't bring my Gengar, and he just went for Safeguard. We were on battle like 35 or something crazy like that. So there was a lot of heartbreak, but it's a lot of fun. That's the highlight of Pokemon for me. Sure, being through the game is a lot of fun too, but the Battle Tower was like where a lot of my fun was. Also in Gen 4, they had I guess they had it in most gens, but at this point they still had a tutor though. I know in some games they didn't always have the move tutor.
Yeah, I think they always did, but
not for Gen 6, the first game.
They didn't have it in XY. They had it in
ORAS. Yeah, so you can't like complain about that too much in the end, but they still had stuff like that. So you could have like Stealth Rock, Hippowdon, and whatnot, or not Stealth Rock. You could have Slack Off, Hippowdon, which is you can't like it's hard to get now. But other than that, that's all I really have for Gen.
I thought it was Stealth Rock, not Slack Off. Slack Off is one of his main moves.
Yeah, you just can't get it all. I think you have to get it. Either train it from Vigoroth.
I think you're thinking of Stealth Rock.
You have to get it from Vigoroth. Either breed it on them. I remember trying to make a Hippowdon.
Oh.
It was pain. But yeah, that was a giant pain. Other than that, though, that's all I really have for Gen 4. We can move on to Gen 6, like we said earlier. It's kind of tied for Gen 4 with us. I mean, Gen 4 is a bit better for me. Obviously, Gen 6 a little bit better for SlowBro. Well, you can start off by explaining a little bit of Gen 6 then.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the newer games that I played, so like you can't say that this is because of nostalgia, because I played Gens 3, 4, and 5 before it fully through, and I did a lot of Gen 4 as well. I mean, I really did like all the starters in this gen to start it off. I mean, the Chestnut I liked how it had the armor. It didn't look too promising with Chespin to me, but...
And if you stick with it, it looks pretty great. I like the whole shiny form looks like Bowser a little bit. I know. That was pretty funny.
Someone complained about that, but I like that. It looks like Bowser.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of funny to see that. It's not all going to be like super serious and whatnot. I thought it was pretty... You're almost never going to have a shiny Chestnut unless you gen. Let's be real. But other ones than that, the Greninja line's obviously super popular. I love it as well.
The
super
shiny
competitive.
Is basically the best.
The best around. And the fire one, I like the whole theme they had. The whole wizard for the fire form, the warrior for the grass form, and then the ninja or the thief. They had the whole like Dungeons and Dragons theme going there. I like that a lot. And just in general, the fire one was decent, or I guess it was the worst one, but it was still a pretty solid pick. You put that in like Gen 5, that's the best one. Let's be real. Put that in Gen 5 or even Gen 7, I'd argue that I would choose Fire. You put Delphox's line in or whatever Fennekin's line in. I pick it. Other than that, the storyline was a little bit lacking. It wasn't super exciting, but I thought it was alright.
The Team Flare was like... I mean, I'm not sure why. I mean, I just kind of liked it, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just like how Lysandre... He didn't really give it away too much that he was going, like, what his goals were.
It was like a mystery at first. Like, they kept having a little brief intermittent. Like, it was pretty obvious he wasn't going to be good or he'd be evil.
Yeah, but it wasn't as obvious as, like, what is it?
Team Aether?
Yeah, like, how they give it away at that one moment, but they never really did anything like that with Team Flare.
Yeah, and it was, like, weird with the whole brief intermissions. You had the whole friends and whatnot, which was a little, like, it didn't end up being that great.
With it.
It was a good experiment. It was a good experiment, though. Good for them for trying on it. Other than that, they added a lot for competitive play in this generation. They added the whole O-Powers, which was super helpful. They added Horde Battling, which was super helpful.
I love how they had the restaurants.
The restaurants were so nice. You did a lot of this. You can explain these a little bit.
Yeah, and I also loved how they did, like, the Pokénav. So you can get 3 Ivies at once in ORAS. In general, I feel like a lot of the high point of Gen 6 was also in the remakes, because I wasn't really thinking...
Well, for the ORAS, you mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure like how good it was going to be, because I don't know. Like, I'm not always super confident in how good a remake's going to be, but ORAS did not disappoint. Like, they had the Pokénavs. Like, if you find enough Pokemon, they can have 3 Ivies in one find.
a lot
and
of
they
what
can have
Gen
their
6
hidden
did.
abilities.
A lot of what Gen 6 did was introduce a lot of people to competitive play, myself included. I was not a competitive battler. I did like the battles I had with like SlowBro here a lot, but I was not a competitive battler until this point. I think you did a lot of Wi-Fi battling too in Gen 6. You used to go and you would fight that one person who had a Gyarados or whatever, and they like got hacks on you 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
But like we did a lot of Wi-Fi battling and whatnot. My friends had tournaments. It was fun. I finally got into like a competitive sense for tournaments. I started doing Showdown and
But I
whatnot.
already had like a Ferrothorn in Gen 5.
I had towards the end, I started getting a few competitive things. I was going to use it for, like, Dex. My friends, that was, like, when it first came out. I didn't get the game when it first came out. I wasn't sure if I was going to stick through with Pokemon. I ended up coming back more than ever, and hey, look, we have a channel now. But I did a lot on Showdown and whatnot. And my first competitive Pokemon was actually Ferrothorn, so you got to give Gen 5 some credit there. But my friends had just gotten Gen 6, so I started making some stuff on Gen 5. It took forever, but hey, guess what? Gen 6 introduced a lot of new things that helped a lot for that.
Generation 5 has the same method of getting IVs as Gen 3 does.
Yep, really bad. Really, really bad.
I had a perfect IV EV, an attack special attack and speed for like a Jolteon. I just was lucky enough to get it from Gen 3.
Yep. It's luck based on a lot
You
of
just
that
have
stuff.
to RNG it to get.
You spent like a
IVs
month for
that
your
gen.
Salamence back in Gen 4?
Yeah, I did.
Gen 6 now you can do it in a day if you get like decent luck. At most it'll take you a weekend, if at most. It's just getting that perfect IV Ditto, and then you're pretty much set.
Even without it, I was fine.
Yeah, you have a bunch of different kind of Pokemon, the egg groups and whatnot. Get a Destiny Knot, super helpful. But it really kind of introduced a lot of people to competitive battling. That's like one of the main reasons I love it, because without it, I probably wouldn't be doing this right now. Other than that, anything else for this region? The clothing was nice in that gen. Obviously got rid of Oros. I like the whole clothing design. I know you didn't like it too much.
I didn't ever get into it.
The secret bases in Oros, amazing. Absolutely beautifully done. They really expanded on what they could do in Gen 3, and the whole fact that you could do the chances with the level 100 kind of made up for the fact that the restaurant wasn't as good in Oros as it was in X and Y.
Leveling up was so easy in Gen 6.
That's another nice part about it. You can get your Pokemon to a higher level. Not that it matters too much, but any bit helps. The Mega Evolutions were super cool. I think a little bit better than Z-moves in my opinion. Really kind of like made some Pokemon like actually viable. Of course, they had to do it for like the stupid Gen 1 starters, but whatever. I guess the Gen 1ers have to have their prize as well.
They never are satisfied no matter what you do.
Apparently not.
Even they don't like the Fire and Leaf Green, so why would they even try to make a remake?
They're debating making another one, so we'll see what happens with that.
There's no point, because the only thing they'll ever like is from Pokemon Red and Blue. Some even don't like Pokemon Yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that is what it is, I guess. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Anything else for you to say?
I don't know. I'm not sure what it is, but Gen 6 just really was... Like, I really liked so many of the Pokemon in that gen. Like, every single one of them.
Aegislash, Gudra, I'm like kind of lacking on the mind. Talonflame, obviously those were like the really good ones. Noivern was Gen 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so was Go-Go. I think those were all nicely done.
All
the Megas were good. Who?
Pyroar.
Pyroar was really nicely done too. Just in Gen Dragalge was cool. I know a lot of the Megas were really well done too, so you got to give them that. Even like stuff like Mega Gardevoir, which I don't like care for Gardevoir. I thought it was pretty neat, unique. And I think the champion was a little bit weak in Gen 6. I didn't really care too much for Diantha, but we can't have everything right. I guess
They never really were that good.
No, I think Cynthia was probably the best one. So that's not an argument for Gen 4. She was like throughout the game a little bit, and I don't know. She was like I think she's like the hardest one in my opinion.
Yeah, it usually seems that way.
Level 66 Garchomp. But other than that, that's all I really have. Again, if any other thoughts? I know you keep going on here a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, that's all we really have for you guys today. As always, let us know what your favorite gens are. Or if you weren't in the last one, let us know the whole ordering or whatnot. But we hope you enjoyed this video as always. If you really enjoyed it, we have plenty more over on our channel. So hit us up with the subscribe button and go check out the rest of our videos. We hope you do. But anyway, have a great day. We hope to see you in the next video.